mood board is a way to communicate a feeling and evoke your fashion concept through a variety of different visual materials, like magazine clippings or photos or objects or photos of objects. This is what comes after the brainstorming phase, where the brainstorming phase is how you are getting specific and identifying your customer, understanding their fashion troubles, imagining their lifestyle, and pinning down what season you are producing for. Mood boards are where we communicate the mood, the style, the textures, inspiration behind your fashion concept with images. Mood boards are an integral part of the design process. When I open your mood board, I should understand the vibe of what you are going for immediately. Your mood board should take me in and show me exactly what your designs or your design ideas will be about. There should be images of lifestyle, color, textures that show a clear direction for your designs. This photo collage should match what you are going for in your fashion brand, in your collection. So don't create a mood board with silk evening gowns if you are doing denim wear. They have to match. Okay, this is when you want to keep your brainstorming mind map close by. It will just help keep you grounded. It will anchor your mood board as you go on through the next step. If you are struggling focusing on one collection, which completely happens, this is super normal. This is the Achilles heel for creatives. So you can either go back to step one and reevaluate the brainstorming session, or to reflect on it and consider what you really want. Maybe you actually want to make silk evening gown. Create another board on Pinterest. Save these images for a later collection. You might have a lot of different magazine clippings. Now pull your favorites and then work your way down so you don't have dozens of images. It's too much. See if there are repeating themes and then select the one that speaks to you the most. To create your color palette, here's what I do in Pantone. The image I chose is from a textile trade show, and you can see the manufacturers are actually displaying Pantone colors, because when I go to do my harmonies, I can see that these are the colors that are coming up that match the color that I found through the search. So now what I want to do is I want to download this color palette so that I can add it into my mood board. Now, to add it to the mood board, I would prefer to have the colors split, and unfortunately, this is not something you can do in Pantone. Once you have the main palette with 4 to whatever, however many colors you want. In this palette, I have 4 colors and I can't download them individually if they're in a palette group. So if I wanted to download them one at a time, I could, but I want to have it together as well as part of the tech pack. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Download it as the entire palette, and then what I'll do is I'll go into Canva and I'll start splitting the colors up so that I can move them around on the mood board. Or you can download the color swatches one at a time. This is a bit of a downfall on the Pantone app, where you can create a color palette, but there is no option to download the swatches independently. The entire palette is one download. Another way to do this is I download each color separately, upload them into wherever it is I'm making the mood board. So then I go back and create the full palette in Pantone. Either way, it's a matter of choosing which process has the least amount of steps. Although now I wonder. Anyways, for me, this is how I do it, and you'll find your own way as well. Okay, so I'm going to download the palette, and now there's a few different options of how you can download it, but I want these swatches right here. So I'm going to select this. When it downloads, it will just download as Pantone Connect Palette.png. It won't download as the name of the color palette. I go into a mood board, whiteboard. I always start from blank. And then I start uploading my images. So I have the main image, which is from the trade show. I've titled this Washed Out Summer. Now I've uploaded the Pantone color palette. I'm going to crop all of this white space out. I don't need any of that. And I'll make copies of it. So there's 4 color swatches, so I'll make 4 copies. And then I will crop out just one of the colors, and then I'm free to move them around however I want on my color palette. So that's how I add the Pantone color swatches from Pantone into wherever it is that I'm making my mood board. Mood boards also work as a launching pad if you don't design, sew, sketch, and you're wanting to hire work out to a freelance designer or an agency. Mood boards are the main page for a design brief as a way to communicate the brand vibe to the designer. When working with a new client that needs full services, meaning design, tech packs, plus all of the pre-production work like fabric sourcing, we always start with a mood board that is often a shared secret Pinterest board. Aside from Pinterest, there's Milanote, Canva, Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, lots of places to create your mood board. You can also create a physical mood board as well. These I prefer. When I had fashion brands in the past, I preferred physical mood boards. Now you can create them and then of course print them off so that you have it somewhere where it's with you. Personally, I would keep my mood mood boards up in my sewing space while I worked on that collection. When you're creating a digital mood board, you can create a secret board, keeping in mind this is with the intention to communicate the Pinterest board with others involved in creating the design. I will add notes because I need to keep in mind that this is with the intention to communicate what about this image is inspiring me, what about this image is wanting to be represented in my fashion collection. You can also use Milanote and you can create a free account and start dragging your images in, and then you drop notes in for the same idea. You want to be able to have a one sentence or bullet point. What is it about this image that you are wanting to communicate to the designer so that they can pull that information and put it into your design? Canva is the exact same as Milanote. You are dragging your images in, putting in some text, adding your notes, and then you're going to share it as a PDF. Now that I've created my mood board, how do I take this to create a design brief? If you're not sketching this yourself and you're hiring an agency or a freelancer to do this, your design brief has to be specific, all the details, so that when you and the designer are having your initial design meeting, you're able to go through the bullet points of all the details so that they can then compile that into your collection. You need to expand your mood board to include garments that you love, pieces that inspire you, fits that you want to emulate. We're going to take this gorgeous mood board that really draws us in and dissect it, because the design brief needs all the details for the designer. Your design brief should have the following. At the top, your brand name, your location, your mood board, your season, your quantities, your production timeline, a selection of the fabrics you were looking for. This is called the scope, the deliverables. On there, we have your audience, who is your collection for, any information that you have in an existing brand, then your website, your Instagram, so that we get a good idea of the brand that we're working with. Then all the images of what you're wanting to produce, examples of your work, other work that have no design experience, this can all go into your design brief. And then you would put together a collection of photos as examples. No, we aren't copying these clothes, but we are taking elements from them to apply to your own designs. This is where you're inspired by them as a whole or parts of the garment. Let's say, for example, you love this ruffled dress. You're super inspired by the ruffles. You love how the ruffles are sitting on this dress. Ethically, you cannot say to a manufacturer, I want to make this dress, or a designer, I want to sketch me out this dress. It's not ethical. This is like Shein behavior, okay? We don't do that. This is where we say, I love this dress, and then we go closer in and we say, what is it about this dress that I love? Is it the cut? Is it the shape? Is it the ruffling along the neckline? Is it the way the ruffles are flowing along the skirt? Is it the length of the skirt? Is it the color? You see where I'm going. There's lots of details to cover. So let's say you're inspired by the ruffles of this dress and you want to connect it to this image on your mood board with the linen strip of your main image. So let's imagine that you would love to make, as your first style for your first collection, you would love to make a linen dress, and you would love to have these ruffles, and you want to have the raw edges along the ruffles instead of having finished edges. Lovely summer, I don't know, glasses of cold rosé on Côte d'Azur in France, like a hot heat wave. Okay, all of these great things. What you would do then is take that image, put it into a spreadsheet, and take your idea for a dress, and you start working your way through each and every element of the dress, from the neckline to the armholes, to the bust, to the waist, to the length, to the skirt, to the closure, and you start connecting all of these pieces to match your mood board, which matches your brainstorming session, because that's who you're designing for. So I hope this was helpful information of how to create a mood board and how to translate that mood board into a design brief for a designer so that you can get started on your collection. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.